Sometimes the room gets quiet right after the last notification fades. It is 12:17 in a high-rise apartment, and the inbox has finally gone still. You are standing near the balcony door with one hand resting on the cold glass, watching the sensor lights across the hallway dim one row at a time. The air conditioner keeps running with a steady, tired sound, and the city is reflected back at you on the black window like a second life you can see but not enter. Why can a small quiet moment feel heavier than a difficult day? This may be the silence that comes after building a life that looks complete from the outside. In this video, I'll walk through why that silence can feel so strange, why it often shows up in tiny moments, and how to sit with it without turning it into a story about failure. The silence of the city is not just the absence of sound. It is the moment when everything you work for becomes still enough for you to hear what has been missing. It can feel confusing because nothing is visibly wrong. The apartment is clean. The view is expensive. The lights below look endless. Somewhere far beneath you, traffic keeps moving, people are crossing streets, elevators are opening, restaurants are closing, someone is laughing too loudly outside a convenience store. But from the 50th floor, all of it becomes soft and distant. You can see life happening, but you do not feel fully inside it. That distance can be the part that hurts. One common reason is that success often teaches people how to rise, but not how to stay connected while rising. For many people who work their way into a better life, the climb takes focus. You answer late messages, miss small dinners, take calls in hallways, learn to stay useful, learn to stay composed, learn to turn tiredness into another hour of effort. The reward may come slowly, then all at once, and by the time you reach the place you once imagined, your body may still be living like it is trying to survive the climb. So you stand in a beautiful room, looking out over the city, and the part of you that kept going for years does not know how to arrive. Sometimes the view is wide, but the heart still feels braced. For a lot of people, it starts when achievement becomes the safest way to be seen. Maybe you learned that people noticed you most when you were doing well. Good grades. Clean results. Strong numbers. The right title. The right address. The kind of life that makes people pause and say, "You really made it." There may be love around that, even pride, but over time it can quietly teach you that being impressive is easier than being known. So when the inbox goes quiet and no one is asking for anything, there is a strange drop inside you, because the role that made you feel real has stepped out of the room. It is not that you are ungrateful. It is that being admired can still leave parts of you untouched. There's also a quieter reason. Distance can become a habit before you notice it. At first, distance may look practical. You cancel one casual plan because the week is packed. You stop explaining how tired you are because it sounds repetitive. You keep certain thoughts private because people assume you are fine, and it feels awkward to correct them. After a while, the private self becomes very quiet, like a room no one has opened in months. So on a night like this, with the glass dark and the city below, the loneliness does not feel sudden. It feels familiar, like something that has been waiting politely for your attention. This is often how separation arrives, not as a dramatic break, but as a small silence that finally has enough space to be heard. It is a strange emotional contradiction. You may be safer than you used to be, but less reachable. You may have more room, but fewer places where you can put down the version of yourself that performs. You may own the quiet you once wanted, and still feel unsettled by what the quiet reveals. Think about a person who comes home after a long evening, not even a bad one. Maybe there was a dinner downstairs with people from work, a few polite laughs, a conversation about numbers, expansion, plans, markets, renovations, flights. Everything went fine. They come up alone in the elevator, watching the floor numbers rise with that soft electronic beep. At 12:17, they step into the apartment, and the inbox gives one last sound, then nothing. They set their keys in a small ceramic bowl near the entrance. They take off their shoes. The sensor light in the hallway holds for a moment, then fades behind them. The apartment is not messy. Nothing is broken. The city looks almost unreal through the balcony glass, all bright windows and red tail lights moving far below. They walk to the balcony door, but they do not open it. They just stand there. Their hand touches the glass. It feels colder than expected. There is no one to tell about the odd thing that just happened inside them. No clear event. No argument. No loss anyone else would understand from the outside. Just a quiet pinch in the chest, the kind that says, "I got here, but why does here feel so far from everyone?" If you've been there, you're not strange. You might know someone who lives like this. This is what the silence of the city can feel like when it reflects more than a skyline. It reflects the cost of carrying a life so carefully that almost no one gets to see where it feels heavy. And because the moment looks so small, many people dismiss it. They tell themselves it is just a late night. Just a mood. Just being tired. That may be partly true. But sometimes small moments are where the honest feeling enters, because big moments are too busy. During the day, there are decisions, messages, payments, deadlines, plans, people watching. At night, the performance is less to hold on to. The city becomes quiet enough for the part of you underneath the role to speak. That part may not be asking for a new life. It may only be asking to be included in the life you already built. There is something else here that people often miss. Silence is not always emptiness. Sometimes silence is the first place where a buried question becomes audible. A gentle place to begin is to name the room before naming your whole life. You might stand there and describe only what is real in the moment. The glass is cold, the air is running, the hallway light is fading, my phone is quiet. Nothing big. Nothing dramatic. Just the room, the hour, the body standing inside it. This can matter because a lonely feeling often grows larger when it has no edges. When you bring it back to the actual scene, it may stop feeling like a verdict and start feeling like a signal. The signal may be simple: I feel far away tonight. Not forever. Not completely. Tonight. Another small thing is to let one honest sentence leave the room. It does not need a big confession. It can be a message to one person who still feels human to you, not polished, not impressive. Something like, "Long day. The apartment is very quiet tonight." Or, "I got home and realized I haven't really talked to anyone all day." The point is not to make someone rescue the feeling. It is to let the feeling exist outside the glass for a moment. When a life becomes highly controlled, even one plain sentence can make a person feel a little less sealed off. This works because separation feeds on perfect composure. It grows when every part of you stays edited. A small honest line can remind you that connection does not always start with a deep talk. Sometimes it starts with a true sentence sent from a quiet room. And it may also help to notice which version of yourself is standing at the window. There is the capable version, the one who handled the day. The one who made decisions, paid for the view, answered the inbox, kept everything moving. That version may be tired, but it is familiar. Then there is the quieter version underneath, the one who still wants warmth without earning it, company without performing, a place to be ordinary without feeling smaller. The silence may feel painful because both versions are in the room, and only one of them usually gets recognized. This is for people who look successful from a distance, but still feel a little unreachable inside their own life. The 50th floor balcony does not mean you are above the world. Sometimes it shows how far you have traveled from the places where you felt known. Sometimes it shows how much you carried without stopping to ask who was still walking beside you. And sometimes, when the city goes silent under the glass, it is not accusing you of anything. It is simply showing you the quiet space between being seen and being held. You may not need to solve the whole silence tonight. Maybe the room can stay quiet for a minute. Maybe the lights can fade. Maybe the city can remain behind the glass. And maybe one true sentence, spoken softly to yourself, is enough for this moment. I built a life that looks steady, and I am still allowed to feel far away inside it.